Welcome to Star Citizen and the Space Combat Guide. Today we mainly deal with the different flight options and the targeting system. In addition, we will deactivate one or the other annoying function and make our lives a little easier. The guide is aimed to beginners in the first line, but there is definitely something new for advanced pilots. As always in my videos, you can use the timestamps to jump directly to the part that interests you or which you want to see again. At the beginning we go through all flight functions and options, which can be of advantage in space combat. In the second part we deal with the targeting system and then the rocket gameplay. I also give you a few tips on how to switch off standard functions that have bothered me personally. I kept showing you the buttons which we are used for the functions and which are stored in the standard layout. We are already in space and take a closer look at the HUD. We see a small white line on the left of the bar which we can change with the mouse wheel and which limits our speed. The red line is the recommended maximum speed to get the best maneuverability and accuracy. To the left of it we find the circle which not only shows a percentage of our thrust capacity but also the status of our thrusters through the respective color. With W we give thrust until the set maximum speed of the white line is reached. If we reduce the maximum speed with the mouse wheel we break down until then. We are now watching our circular thrust indicator. If we give too much thrust for too long, this display changes color to yellow and then to red, whereupon our thrusters fail. That's not a big deal in space, but a bigger problem in the low altitude atmosphere. To apply the brakes, we can either press the space brake with the X button or give the upper side thrust. Below the speed indicator we see further symbols where gear stands for the landing gear and coupled for the coupled or decoupled mode. The circle with the ball and the numerical value shows the g-forces acting on us. Depending on the flight maneuver, these can become so strong that we can lose consciousness. Here we see directly below in red G-save what the security mode means that will be deactivate later. With the V button we also switch to decoupled mode, which enables even higher g-forces. And the decoupled mode is the next topic. I would recommend this to you for almost all space fights. What it does and why, we take a closer look. First we are again in coupled mode with V and simply give a push straight ahead with the W key and stop further pushing by releasing the W key. The coupled mode automatically brakes again here. The coupled mode stabilizes us and our trajectory, which is easier in normal flight. And with pressing the V key again, we switch to decoupled mode. If we now give thrust and release the W key, the thrust remains because the ship is no longer automatically stabilized and automatically braked. The thrusters no longer give any energy and we continue to move in the direction in which we originally gave the thrust. As long as we don't give a counter thrust, we stay on the trajectory even when we turn. The little white triangles are our indicators of where the thrust will take us. So we give thrust in different direction in a fight, we always change the trajectory and keep moving, which makes it much more difficult to hit us. We will now look at how it works. We are still on our way in the direction in which we gave thrust and now press various thrust controls up and down or to the sides to change the trajectory. Here we see how the indicator moves accordingly and our trajectory changes. We can only use this technique not only in combat, but also when we want to approach with the smallest possible signature, for example for a surprise attack. Here we fly to the station in decoupled mode and switch off our machines at maximum thrust, which reduces our emissions and makes us more difficult to locate. If we were to approach an enemy here and also switch off other systems, we could approach so unnoticed. The next function that makes flying easier for you in general is the cruise control. With the C key we activate this, which only works in coupled mode, so your ship automatically gives enough thrust until the set limit which you can set with the mouse wheel is reached. You remember that was the white line on the side. To switch off the G-Save mode off or on, simply press the Alt key and tap the I key twice. This has the greatest effects in atmospheric flight. You can switch the ESP control on and off with the combination Alt and double press O. ESP stands for Enhanced Stick Precision and will dampen your inputs when your targeting reticle is above the target. This is designed to keep you from overshooting. I recommend that you leave the option activated at the beginning because your target display is smoothed out and you hit easier. A function that is annoying for me personally is the auto zoom that we see here. Here you always zoom in on the active target even in combat. If you want to deactivate this option, you will find the setting via the options under Gameplay. So you don't zoom in on your target and have a better overview. Also, a distributing function is that by default you always look in the direction of your target. We can also switch this off again via the options and find the corresponding setting and deactivate it completely. Alternatively, you can reduce the effects or turn it off altogether. After that, we still got our target, but we don't keep moving our head in the direction. For me, it's really enjoyable. But enough of the basic flight controls and functions. We come to the space combat and the targeting system. With the T key we can select the target, whether it is friendly or hostile, and activate it actively. With the key combination Alt and 1 to 4 we can activate and mark up to 4 targets at the same time for us and our group members or the shooter in the tower. But before we fire a single shot, let's test our new flying skills and just dodge enemy fire by using the direction buttons in decoupled mode and dodging up and down with the space button and control. Our thrust is so sufficient that we take almost no hits. Another feature that we discuss in detail later is the rocket gameplay. Very briefly beforehand with the middle mouse button, clicking the mouse wheel, we activate the target within range of the respective selected rocket or torpedo. In order to shoot the specified target with a rocket, the red cycle must be tightly closed and we must not put any obstacle between us and the target between us. Holding the middle mouse button, the mouse wheel fires a rocket or a torpedo. And how you activate the cinema camera, I have already mentioned it in a German guide. To explain it briefly, you will find the cinematic camera in the settings under gameplay, which you can simply activate for this. But back to the subject, the target system. The most important buttons are the buttons 5 and 4, next to the T button, which is only activates one target that you are currently aiming for. With the key 4 we select the enemy target that is closest to us, whereby it only depends on the distance which target is selected. On the other hand, it is with the button 5. Here the next target is selected, which has switched to us. So if you are in the group and your team member is the target of the enemy, we will not be able to lock into an enemy target with the 5. However, it is very helpful when fighting against multiple targets and in a team with the key 5 to always activate the targets that are shooting at you. So we can pick out the targets from an enemy group that are also targeting us. Otherwise, of course, we always have the option to activating the closest target even with another selected target by pressing the button 4. Regardless of whether it has caught us or not, or simply activating a target that is in our field of vision with the T button. If you are alone in a fight, the distinction is less important, but we always have missions in which we have to protect an NPC, for example. If we work with the key 4 here, we know which targets have locked us and which have captured the NPC that we have to protect. Here we see again how you can move in space combat. We only have one opponent here. With the T key we simply select it and dodge the fire with the direction keys and up and down. Admittedly, this Mustang wouldn't even be dangerous to us if we make a coffee. The keys Q and E with which you can roll your ship are also helpful in space combat. This is particularly prone to damage on ships with projecting wings. If you have problems in space combat, I also recommend doing a few rounds of practice in the Arena Commander. Here you can also get to know the controls alone and if you want without opponents and try new things. And if you just want to have some space action, I recommend the Alien Swarm or Pirate Swarm mode. And there is also a guide on how to unlock the pirate versions of the Gladius and Caterpillar, for example. This guide is an extra video and should go live for the next few days. But now let's take a look at the different target modes, which we can switch in two ways. Via the game settings we have the option to select a lead pip or a lag pip. The difference is follows. The first is our red target marker in front of the target, namely the calculated trajectory which depends on speed and direction. So if we shoot there, we have a good chance of hitting the target if it maintains this course. However, this is not an absolute indicator that guarantees us a hit. It's just a calculated forecast and an indication of what to aim for. The lag pip is used to calculate this forecast of our weapon alignment. And of course both have advantages and disadvantages, and you should try out what suits you better. But now we come to an important point in space combat that we have only touched on so far. Namely the rocket and torpedo gameplay. Of course this is also includes how you can defend yourself against such. There are three types of missiles and torpedoes: electromagnetic, cross-section and infrared. You have no direct countermeasures against cross-section missiles and therefore have to evade or shoot the missile. Against the other two types, however, you have flares that you can activate. Here you can switch or select the countermeasures with the J key and then fire them with the H key. You can recognize them either by their name or a small symbol in the middle. If a Wi-Fi symbol lights up there, you have a cross-section rocket flying towards you, and if there's a lightning, the electromagnetic version. The flame is ultimately an infrared that is a heart-seeking rocket. With version 3.11 there were or still are revisions regarding the whole rocket gameplay, and for this a very own guide is necessary in any case. So remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so that you don't miss this guide, because that could bring you many deaths in the verse. Here we have directly selected a pinned target with the key 2 and activated with several of our rockets in order to shoot them all at once. As already mentioned, you can do this by clicking the middle mouse button. That takes more time, but you always have a little acoustic confirmation that your rocket activation was successful. Should you have the feeling that you can cause enough problems for your opponent, hold down the middle mouse button and enjoy the show. And the cinema camera provides very intimate insights here. I hope I was able to bring you closer to space combat and as understandably as possible. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the comments or the Discord channel. I would also like to remind you of the current giveaway. Here you can pick up a brand new Origin 100i. All you have to do is to be a visible subscriber and have submitted a comment. And since I want to bring you a little more light into the confusion of space, let's see a complete overview of all standard keys that an outstanding Reddit user had made available. Thank you again for that! You can of course also find the link to the original Reddit post in the description. Here you can see all the important keys for flight and space combi clearly displayed and what they do. That is almost too clear and simple. I hope you enjoyed the video and you leave me a like and a subscribe there. You are also welcome to activate the bell so that you don't miss further videos. Because where else do you get videos with this wonderful Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator accent? And thanks to Robert for this nice description of my English skills. I hope I was able to bring you closer to the target system and the different options for space combat and to help you. I still hope that we will meet again soon, and before I say my usual saying, how about I'll be back? No, I stick with it always. See you in the verse.